Good morning. I'm coming to you early this morning. Pretty quick. Cheryl and I and Hunter are going to take off on our trip back out to the farm today. And as we look at Matthew 21 this morning, we find that Jesus' journey on this earth is coming close to an end. He's been traveling around for 3 years, teaching, encouraging, healing, and all of those things. And now in verse chapter 21, it says, "Now when he drew near to Jerusalem, came to the city of Bethpage." He's on his way on the final journey to Jerusalem. And as he's getting closer, he sends two of his disciples in, a very familiar story to us, to get this colt, to get this donkey for him to ride into town on. And as he comes to town, the crowd lay their cloaks and branches on the ground and cheer, and they're just excited that Jesus is coming to town. And the owner of the donkey evidently knew who Jesus was, because he didn't argue when they told him, the disciples told him that the master had need of this donkey. And I'm guilty when I read this story of getting so wrapped up in Jesus coming and the people so excited to see him, that you miss a few things. But there's a crowd that's with Jesus, and they're the ones that are going out ahead of him, and shouting, "Hosanna! Blessed is the Son of David!" and just excited for Jesus to come. They're assuming that this is the moment in time that Jesus is going to establish his reign on this earth, and things are going to get better. And as he's coming in, the crowd is shouting out, and then as he comes to town, the rest of the city starts wondering, well, who is this guy? What's all this commotion about? What's going on with this? And the ones that know Jesus say, "This is Jesus, the prophet from Nazareth of Galilee." They're just, it's kind of almost, well, you don't know who this is, kind of that unbelief a little bit. But the news of Jesus arriving in Jerusalem gets to be a big news, and everybody is impacted by it. The whole town is aware. And Jesus goes to the temple, and what he finds there, he finds the crooked money changers, they're taking advantage of the Israelites who are coming to offer their sacrifices, to offer their praise, to show their respect for God, to worship God. But these money changers, the ones who are selling the doves and exchanging the monies, because you only had to have certain monies and certain perfect animals and all of this stuff. And it was a travesty of justice in so many ways. And Jesus recognized that was going on, and he turned the tables over. He caused chaos in the temple. And when we go to worship, we're supposed to be quiet, pay attention, and all this. Well, Jesus had been paying attention, and he knew what was going on, and it upset him that supposedly the church was taking advantage of the people as they came. And he says that it's supposed to be a house of prayer, but you made it into a den of thieves. He was just distressed by what he saw happening in the temple. And as he remained there in the temple then for that day, it says the blind and the lame came and he healed them. But when the chief priest saw it, what was happening, what he was doing, and especially in the temple, this poor uneducated man was doing things in the temple that he shouldn't be doing. He was just, they were excited by that, and they were listening to the people, and especially a lot of children. It says that the children were there, singing praises of Jesus, and they come to Jesus and say, "Well, do you hear what they're saying about you?" And they're blaspheming God, and Jesus says to them, "Well, but it's written that out of the mouths of the babes and infants will come the praise, and that they know what's going on." And the Pharisees and the scribes had been upset with Jesus and by Jesus previous to this, but this was kind of the final turning point now. But Jesus spent that day in the temple, and as I said, he was getting close to the end of his journeying, but because he didn't stay in Jerusalem. He went back out to Bethpage, just a couple miles, and stayed there with his friends, a place where he'd stayed many different times before. And the next morning, then he got up and he was going back into the city of Jerusalem. And it says he was hungry. He needed breakfast. I mean, we need something to get going in the morning. And there was a fig tree there, and Jesus was going to pick a fig. There were no figs on it, and evidently it should have been the time of the year that there should have been something there. And Jesus, it says, cursed that fig tree, and it withered up and died. And he used that when the disciples asked him about how did that happen. He used that fig tree as an example of faith, and he said, if you have faith and don't doubt, you're going to be able to do great things. But also, if you don't, your faith could be like that fig tree, and it could wither up and it could die. And there's so many things that we just kind of wonder about, but the reality is that faith is that way. Faith can be precarious, and we come to a point in life, a point in time in our life, that our faith should maybe be more important for us. Maybe that it should be a time when people can see in us our faith and trust in God. And if we turn our back on that faith, if we ignore that faith, it can wither and it can get weaker, and we can start to wonder more, and and in time we can walk away from God. And if we do that, then our faith will be gone. And but Jesus talks about having faith and just remaining firm and strong that way. And but when I think about this text as a whole that we just read, just Matthew 1 through Matthew 21 1 through 22, it's the culmination of Jesus' ministry. Because after this, we're going to start. He's going to start, talking with the scribes and the Pharisees. He's going to be telling. We're going to hear a lot of parables. But it's the end of, getting toward the end of Jesus' ministry. He came in on what we call Palm Sunday, and was arrested on Thursday. So we don't have a whole lot of days yet that Jesus is going to be going about doing things. So as in the Gospel of Matthew, we're getting close to the point of the end of Jesus' journey of ministry on this earth. And it's going to be times of we're going to see so much more encouragement in our faith and examples of what faith can be and should be. But I think this lesson, as it started today with the crowds cheering, Hosanna to the Son of David, blessed be the one who comes in the name of the Lord. That's the cheer we need to have in our hearts and in our minds. We don't need to probably go and shout it from the mountaintops, but we need to hold in our hearts that Jesus is the Messiah, the Son of the living God, and that he came for you and for me. So as you go about your journey for the day, take Jesus with you, and you'll be glad that he did.